So back when Triple H first took over creative, a lot of people were excited for multiple different reasons. One being that McMahon was basically past the best days of his work. And then two being you have a group of people who are attached to the nostalgia that is NXT Black and Gold, which was run by Triple H himself. So they were excited to see his work translate over to the main roster. Now, I have no nostalgia for NXT Black and Gold because I never watched NXT like that. Now, obviously, ignoring all the things that Vince McMahon did, this whole video, we're just going to be talking about his work separate from all that mess that he's involved with. I don't know where the case is at right now, but after waiting what I thought was a long enough time, which was like months, to make my decision on who I think or who I prefer as a booker, even I said Triple H was better. He was at least better at certain aspects as far as, like, I guess, continuity and stuff like this. And I guess since his takeover, there's certain other aspects of the product that I enjoy more, like the camera work and things like this, little subtle things. But I'm starting to think that overall, when it comes to at least just booking alone, that I spoke too soon. And I figured out what the problem is. It's long-term booking. Despite what you've heard anywhere else, this, in combination with his general decision-making, has proven to be passively killing superstars' careers. You see, Triple H likes to edge you in the worst way. He'll get off to a good start with something, and then the whole middle portion will just be dragged out. Where's that picture of the horse? It'll just be stretched beyond imagination. The foundation will be set. The obvious end goal will be in place. And then he'll just make you crave the conclusion. But all the way up until that point, it's like you're constipated and trying to take a shit, but you're upside down. This is relevant. Shut up. Walk with me. The point is you're uncomfortable. And I bring this up because I hate when people say, I've heard people say this, they say taking a shit feels good. That's not what's happening here. Let me school you real quick. If we've got 3 states of balance in that scenario, 1 would be your neutral state. And then if you go down, that's discomfort. And then if you go all the way back up, above neutral, then let's call it pleasure. Right? When you need to take a shit, you've dropped down into the discomfort zone. And it's not until you take that shit where you access the feeling of relief, which is you returning to the neutral state. But the way how some of you act, you would think that you're going further than that somehow. Out here scheduling your next time, eating foods that'll make you go and shit, anticipating your next one. The fuck? That is not what's happening. But anyways, that's what Triple H's storytelling has been up until this point. You're just sitting there trying to access relief to get out of the bad zone. And then you'll finally get the conclusion, and then you'll have to listen to these kids talking about, you see? You just gotta let Triple H cook. No, dog, that's not cooking. That's overcooking. My shit is burnt. This thing could have came out the oven fucking 2 months ago. Pacing is very important. Like I said, Triple H will start things off good, but then he'll stretch things out longer than they have to be stretched out for. If he ended it when it was due, the stories would be great. But this method of stretching out everything is making it difficult for Triple H to create new stars, which is a heavy criticism that I've been seeing thrown at him lately, and this is the cause. Because when everything is booked long term, then essentially what you're saying is this title's off limits, this title's off limits, therefore there's no space to build up this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, because this top guy here can only lose to this guy. So by the time you get a new champion, the next 5 people who might be deserving, maybe like only 1 or 2 of them if you're lucky, will get a chance out of the 5 that could have been something. And not to say that championships are the only way to build stars, because it's not, but as mentioned before by not even just me, there are many superstars right now that are being ignored or just looked over when it comes to being deserved of a push of any kind or some spotlight. Or sometimes even it looks like somebody is kind of getting pushed, but then suddenly it'll just like cut off and then you wait to see them another time and then it's like they're restarting their progress. So I guess I'll say it like this. At the time of this video, I'm looking at the roster and I'm just gonna name some people who, in my opinion and apparently other people's opinions, are deserving of a push, but for one reason or another, they're just not being used or whatever, right? Or again, in case this video ages badly in some areas, up until this point, they've taken a long time to initiate anything with the person. So if it starts tomorrow, my bad. I'm not psychic. Anyways, Street Profits, or I guess according to most people, Montez Ford, Austin Theory. I'm not tripping over Bianca Belair, like I said, until after whatever the conclusion with her versus Jade is going to be, which if this is the direction that they're going, then I'll see what they do with her after that before saying her. Gunther. Gunther has a belt currently, which should on paper put him in higher standings, yet this reign, and his character in general, seems to be a complete downgrade of his Intercontinental run. Braun Breaker is another case of they started off good with him, and then they suddenly just had him lose to Jey Uso to get it back anyway, and then his television appearances became sparse or like fragmented, kind of went on a disappearing act, but I guess that's becoming normal now for champions. Bronson Reed, who is injured right now, but before that, I guess they decided that the best way to build a monster is to have him lose to Seth Rollins. Creed brothers have been ruined because Triple H's favorite genre is I'm a loser heel on a losing streak. Therefore, losses cannot hurt me because I'm heel. So allow me to lose again next week. Carlito. Now, Carlito I'm only mentioning relative to like Ruthless Aggression era. What's he done since he come back? Carmelo Hayes, #1 draft pick. Carmelo Hayes is one of the best things that they got right now as far as the new generation goes. And it's like Triple H, he's trying to slowly push him into his favorite genre of I'm a loser heel. Chad Gable, I'm a loser heel. Chelsea Green's got a championship currently. Chelsea Green is everything I feared about her being the first champion right now. They may as well bring back the butterfly belt with the way how they're treating her. Cody Rhodes, like I said, everybody's over the filler parts of this reign. Either bring Randy Orton in or have him lose to Kevin Owens. I'm actually recording this on the day of Saturday night's main event, but when it comes time for them to have their actual match, I don't think Kevin's gonna win. I think the whole point of Kevin holding the Winged Eagle belt is because I think that's the closest thing to giving him a championship that they're gonna do, so they just let him play with that for a little bit. But I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised. Damian Priest has leveled up in the eyes of the fans as far as popularity relative to where he was before I guess he turned babyface. Problem with this is, again, with titles basically being off limits, it's not like he's gonna get another reign anytime soon before somebody else new. So again, the problem with long title reigns at the main event level. Not that he necessarily needs it, but the creative hasn't been showing for them to be able to do storylines that don't need the belt to carry entertainment levels so far. Because if he's not fighting Finn, or if he's not going for the championship, then he basically becomes Braun Strowman, who is big as shit, looks believable to be like destroying everybody, but they're like hiding him from the title scene. I personally, like, I wouldn't say I'm like for or against Braun Strowman, for that example, being champion, but that's just a thing I noticed will happen, which seems to be a thing even in the Vince McMahon era, where big superstars are valued up until a certain point where you become, I guess, too big, and then you only get used as like the monster to overcome. Dragon Lee, I guess, like him or not, it looked like they were pushing him, but now they got Penta. But even long before Penta showed up, they kind of fumbled him. He's apparently the speed champion at this time of this video. But yeah, Dragon Lee didn't have to be main event or anything, but I just found it weird that his momentum like fell off a cliff. Shinsuke, United States champion. Won this thing like weeks and weeks ago at this point. I purposely waited before saying anything to see if they were going to prove me wrong when I was saying that they struggle to build international talent, but at the time of this video again, they remain to be proving me right. And then obviously Finn Balor is another one I've been advocating for. LA Knight's path has been questionable, which I've already talked about. We'll see if they're going to pick it up with Naomi, and then of course Natalya they stay disrespecting. And then last I'll say, because you get the point, is Wyatt Six had like one of the best debuts ever, and now, yeah, I can keep going, but you get the point. Basically, the roster on paper is stacked as hell, but it's just been booked questionably in a lot of areas. But earlier this month, they did tie up a lot of dragged out storylines, so we got a new chance to start fresh, because there is hype to be had and more potential openings. But it's going to take 2 title changes, and I won't say which 2, to open the door to that timeline, so let's hope for the best. It's Tyzik Thunder. I'm out.
The official has to call it.
Here is your winner, Thunder!
What a performance. Huge win here in this triple threat match.
And you can't get much better than the 3 men who just laid it all on the line here tonight. Sure, only one of them got the W, but all 3 of them just made it into the history books.